get your input, go and get some food for thought. Yeah, it's your boy Omenihu and made on the beat. He made the beat, you know what it is.
Yo, yo, yo.
Yeah. Check 1, 2.
Yo. Welcome to, this is technically episode 4 of, what is this podcast called?
A podcast with no budget.
And I'm happy to be here. We got my man Danny off camera, handling the cameras. We got your boy Omenihu here in the flesh. We have Young Maid, all the way from Shy City. And then we have our second guest, my boy, one of my best friends. Met him midway in college through another best friend of mine who mistakenly went to Texas A&M with this guy. Yeah, since the moment we met, we've been kin. And gone on different paths and
different coasts,
different places. But at the end of the day, the source is the same. My boy Sam Hamad in the building.
What up? I was worried about the no budget for a second, but things are working.
How's everything? How's LA treating you? You came from New York. You've been in New York for how long?
Almost 6 years.
Sheesh.
And I haven't been here since what do we refer to as the quarantine year? That's appropriate. But I haven't been here since before that year.
We do need a name for that. That's like a
because I don't like saying COVID.
Yeah,
it's too.
It's just like I was talking to somebody like this week about it. It's kind of like Marvel with the Spider-Man movie. How they just said, "Yo, like people came back." And then everyone who didn't get like wiped away is 5 years older. And then everyone who got wiped away is just 5 years younger. And it's kind of like, oh, everyone just popped back into each other's lives 2 years older.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
It's crazy.
The craziest part was like if you hadn't seen somebody for an extended amount of time before COVID hit, or the Great Quarantine, or whatever we're going to call it. I feel like in history book it's going to be like the Great Quarantine. But yeah, no, like when you're just like, when's the last time we seen each other? You'd be like, damn, like it's been 2 years now. It's been 3 years now. Like I remember being like, yo, like it's been like 2-3 years since I'd seen my mom. And I was like, no, that's crazy. Not 3. I think it was closer to 2, but it was just like, whoa.
3 years, like you have beef.
No, just like for real. Like, who are you after 3 years? It's like a valid question, you know? A lot. That's a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I feel like that year was a lot of FaceTime because I don't feel like we didn't connect. And I felt like I was FaceTiming more with people that I had to travel to see. So the year was good for that.
Yeah.
But then when you're with somebody, you're like, oh, I couldn't pick up on how you're actually doing over the FaceTime. You know, it's not the same.
You know, that's the thing. Like, you forget people's stature.
Right.
Like, when you haven't seen them in a while, you're like, damn, nigga, you 6'4"? Like, what? I don't remember this. And then, obviously, you see people who gained weight, lost weight.
So I was going to ask, what's one thing that you wish you learned how to do, that you had the time and you were put in the predicament to learn during the Great Quarantine?
I wish all my bets would have made money in the stock market because there was a whole group of people who did it for the first time, and like when you're doing it for the thrill, it's not a good learning environment.
Nah, it's not, because it's not a real reflection of what's really
how
happening.
It is.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, everybody during that time was learning with blood. Like, it was a very permanent, like,
highs
learning
and lows.
Everybody had free time and free money. Everybody was walking around with that Biden bag.
Yep.
You know?
And I learned fundamentals that I didn't know before. But then the more you learn, you actually learn you know nothing.
Facts.
And then it's kind of intimidating because you're like, well, learning this comes with a cost. And it's hard to go further.
And that's everything. You start something and you're like super overconfident about how you're about to like take this thing that you're learning by storm.
Right.
And then you get to a point where the teacher, the instructor, the book tells you like, yeah, all the stuff you just found out about is just the tip of the iceberg. And that's when depression hits. You're like, oh shit. Like when you're talking about investing, it's like, oh, like everyone thought they were going to be a day trader until they found out, wait, I have to put like $2,000 down for a cash account.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, God damn it, man.
Nobody saw the real residual. That's why everybody was like, Robin Hood is Robin the Hood for many different reasons. But it was just like, yo, you're not supposed to just be flipping shit this often. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to see the long term of it.
Most people would have made more money just
relaxing,
buying it and letting it
go.
Yeah.
Sit there.
No, we had a group chat named after stocks, and everyone had a very different philosophy about it. And it was funny to be with your friends and be like, oh, I just made $2,000. And then your other friend is like, I'm not touching that.
Right.
And it's kind of like it's a choice.
Yeah.
But you also want your friends to win. So you're advocating for things that like you think could make everyone money. Like I was pushing the same things and I was like, no, like y'all are going to be mad.
Yeah.
And then you lose and you're like, I'm glad I wasn't responsible for anyone else losing on that.
Right.
It's a weird.
And the thing is, we fall in love with things that don't know us. Like we're rooting for like stocks or crypto or whatever, or even celebrities like racehorses. You don't know why this thing is faster than the other. You don't know why it's really growing unless you are actually investing time into learning how to count trend lines. And
nobody was doing that. Nobody was doing that. I wish the one thing that we would have learned was just like how we could really send shit up if we're on the same page. That was the one thing where it's just like, man, like we're seeing this thing happen right in front of us. We're seeing fucking, I don't know the logistics of GameStop or AMC, but like it's like at the end of the day, we were inflating that. Like it was pitched to us to be appealing, but then we were the ones that showed up in numbers like, nah, we finna do this. And we saw shit go through the roof.
Facts.
Yep.
And I feel like coming out of it, you know, we're looking at how much money we made, how much we didn't make, or like us missing out, or if we got it. But we didn't realize like, yo, like the power of everybody figuring out like, yo, like each one counts and it could send shit up. Like we should be moving completely different right now in the open world.
Yeah,
you know?
but the thing is, just like The Matrix, just like Paid in Full, just like Selena in the movie, you don't know who's working against you. So like every time someone makes a post like, oh, this is going to the moon, you don't know if that's Agent Smith or not.
Nah, you don't. And I'm not even saying like whether it's a good or a bad thing. I'm saying like the power of numbers and how it all starts with just us, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah, so it was definitely making me think like how like even during the great COVID year, it's
you can't
like
say the great COVID because there ain't nothing great about COVID.
Wait, what were you saying?
Even though nothing's great about depression either, so you know, I guess.
Oh, the Great Depression.
Yeah. So
and now like 2007 is called the Great Recession.
wow. Damn, yeah. Let's just keep it. You know, let's just keep the theme.
The great quarantine.
The great quarantine.
And it's like, bro, we realized how active people could get whenever you threw something at them, whether it was the protest, whether it's somebody that they wanted to cancel.
Straight up like that. Yeah. I'm with you, bro. Like we learned how active people can get. Like just, all right, we ready? Bet. No work? All right, we there.
My thumbs are going, or I'm blah, blah, blah. And it's like, how do you then take that energy and just apply it to your own life? Going back to that first question, you're like, damn, with all that time that's passed, I still can't play the guitar. and for me, it was like, I started the Fender free course, and I was like, yo.
We all know about it when you first get that guitar.
and then right when those calluses hit, I was like, nah, I'm good. Yeah. I'm good.
But you tried it.
I tried it.
You know? Like I feel like part of doing something is not always completing it, but finding out like if that is really, really what you want to do. And it comes through the negative repercussions of things like, oh, you get that callus. It's like, do I really want to do this again? Do I want to recover from that? Do I want my hands to be like this forever?
Bruh.
You know, it's a decision. But, you know, that's how it goes.
So Sam, now that we're here, and we were supposed to shoot this last week, and then
my answer was haircut. By the way, I wanted to learn how to cut my hair. It wasn't as
how to give yourself.
Yes, I wanted to learn how to at least taper and line up.
and I've been trying to talk him out of it because everybody who tries to give themselves a lineup,
I've never seen it work.
No, actually, I have. I'm not gonna
Really?
lie. I went to high school with this kid, man, and he always had the freshie because he knew how to cut his own hair, and that shit was always sharp, bro. You know what I mean? Like we
And
had to go to the barber, and he was every day with it.
and I bet he is a barber today.
He could be. He could be. I knew 2 people who did it actually. When I go back to Chicago, my homie cuts my hair.
That's
He's that nice with it.
that's a YouTube skill. Like that's
You
something that with enough videos.
See, that's what I started. I started watching videos and just figuring out what exactly was happening. Because it's like you go to the barber all those times, you don't think about what the fuck they doing.
Because you can't
know?
see it.
Mm.
You don't know when they're doing the fade. You don't really know the nuance, but
Bro, all they doing on the taper is just switching guards, bro. That's it. You just
Bro.
switching guards, you know what I mean? And going in a certain order, just leveling it down. And just
Made
like,
you got to get the. We might have bought one of these at my apartment, or I thought about it.
oh, the mirror, the 3 mirror.
Yeah.
I bought it.
yep, definitely
You can
need that
see all
low-key.
around your head. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got one in the bathroom actually that does that, but I need the back angle. You know
So
what I mean?
this is what I'm
That's the only one
describing.
I'm
This is
missing.
what we're describing with the confidence, the beginner confidence, where you just think you're just gonna give yourself a freshie.
I have fucked up my own hair before. if that's what you're implying to, I have done it. Like I thought I was just going like, you know, use some regular clippers and just go over my shit when I first moved back to Chicago, and that shit didn't work. You know what I mean? With all due respect, I looked like a white person with black skin. I did. But you know, I had hats.
You just
In the quarantine, I had all that time. Everybody was looking fucked up in quarantine, bro. I had all that time to mess myself
Yeah.
up. Now I gotta go to
I
work.
buzzed my whole head in
See?
quarantine. Yeah. It was more like
You didn't really go through the quarantine if you didn't
try to
come
cut
out
your
with,
hair.
or
Yeah.
if you ain't come out with dreads. So you escaped. See, you came out with new dreads.
Yes,
you only
I
had dreads on the top. You
Yeah, yeah.
came out with dreads on the
Yeah,
side.
'cause-
And I remember when I came to see you too, and I was just like, oh, like you going for it.
because I looked around and I was like, yo, I'm not gonna trek to Mid City, pay this man $40, wear a mask for a hairline, an edge up that no one cares about right now. Like
That's
no
a
one
fact.
cares. And at the time I was in a relationship, she didn't care. Like that's the only reason why I'm getting a haircut. Like that type of maintenance is for y'all. Like
But there is nothing like, it's like a psychology, bro. Like literally, you get your hair cut, everything just
Yep.
feels better.
yeah, your
Different.
face you give off a radiance. Your face is like, damn.
It's like, you know what I just started doing? It's like what I was telling y'all about the other day. Just conditioning my hair every day. Conditioning wash. That's it. But no shampoo, just condition wash.
Yep.
Every morning. And I do that, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like I feel like I could think way better. Way better.
the chemicals.
And it's like I
talking.
don't be doing nothing. I go to the gym, I come back, you know what I mean? And then I put a hat on, but it's just like it's the way that you feel. It's like you're able to like, you know, circulate better or something. I don't know what it is.
No, I get it. Like, bro, I've never had a pedicure. So the moment when I get a pedicure, I know I'm gonna be like,
Have you had a manicure?
no,
Do you manicure yourself?
no, I just don't bite my
For
nails.
those who can't see you, you actually look like
You have shiny nails.
you have a manicure right now,
You do.
dog. So like, I don't know if it's like your dietary, you know,
Hey, all that
supplements or
oatmeal.
whatever. Yeah, I mean, all that exactly. I don't know the science
Yeah,
behind
I-
it, but it, you know, yeah.
You know, as a kid, I was watching like E or like one of those shows about celebrities, and it was like, oh, Britney Spears puts hot sauce nail polish on so she doesn't bite her nails. And for me as a kid, that seed was enough for me to be like, okay, I'm too old for this.
It's so funny you mentioned that because I remember the first time I had noticed, like watching a TV show, that somebody knew that someone had a nail biting habit. They could see it from their hands. It made me not want to bite my nails no more. I was just like, nah, I'm good. Even though I still did it. But I tried to make sure I didn't get caught, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's the shame that matters.
Exactly.
It's the shame that heals.
Facts.
I still bite my nails.
You still bite your nails.
Yeah, like
let me go like this, bro.
I mean, I bought them.
You're good though.
No, I bought them well.
See, skill.
Like,
some people just be jagged. You just gonna leave it like they need to be filed. You know what I mean? Like, nah, like you gotta make sure like you make proper contact,
right,
to be able to get your shit. You know what I mean? Like you gotta pretend like you the nail clipper. Some people just pretend like they scissors, and that's what the problem is.
You know
what I mean? Like
you have to get older to realize you can't use a toenail clipper on your fingernails.
Boy, I had to. You just said some shit, bro. You just said some shit with that. I got nothing to say. That's a fact.
Like it's the key difference. That's how you know you're. That's how you know you're grown from being immature. The small details. But anyways,
over time, them nails become very different.
Facts.
But yes, let's yes.
My boy Sam.
Yes.
I make fun of him all the time in the group text because I'm like, when you come into LA, New York sucks. New York's cold. New York has rats. Obviously, LA has its.
You're not allowed in New York anymore.
we're gonna get them banned on this.
Hey, exactly. They can come see me. Niggas throw chopped cheese out the window.
Oh
bro, Chris is the type of dude, like, he'll see a clip and he sends it like it's the only place in the world the clip happens.
Yep.
like he sources New York clips. And I have to remind him the clips that come out of LA because I'm like, wait, you're just sending me crazy behavior.
Right.
Like, that's not a New York symptom.
Nah, that's.
But when you see someone in the subway, it makes everything wilder than if they just did it outside or something. So
yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Our subways out here are way crazier than in New York.
Yeah.
This is like the craziest public transportation that I've witnessed anywhere. You know, Chicago, New York,
Sam,
anywhere, London.
I'm gonna let you embellish this story. You got it. You got it.
No, we were going out and we took the bus. Which
here?
Yeah. Which already to me, like like when I go out, I'm like, I got to get where I'm going with no interruptions.
Right.
Because you don't want the going out.
No, that's not happening here.
You don't want the going out part to already be eventful.
Right.
Because it's like, nah, like I'm just trying to go have a good time.
Trying to preserve your energy.
So yeah, on the bus, two women were getting into it because one of the women kept claiming everyone was Lucifer. Like she was like, yelling Lucifer at everyone she saw, and the woman didn't appreciate the devilish implication.
Right.
And I was like, yo, let's just get in an Uber. And Chris was like, nah.
That's not happening with Chris.
So okay, we got on the bus and then we had to take a connecting bus. And then as we're walking,
took a connecting bus?
It was quick. It was
the only time I've ever taken a connecting bus has been with Chris.
And this is why this is why I hate niggas from New York. They act like they don't take 3 trains to get to the airport.
But that shit is better. That shit is way better. What? It be running on time.
Bruh.
It ain't no traffic. So I mean, it'll stop. That's the thing. But it's more efficient.
So we get off the bus and then we just go around the corner to go to the other bus stop. And that was the moment. If Sam really, really, really wanted us to Lyft and Uber the rest of the way, I wasn't tripping. But I was like, yo, in the meantime, we're walking to the stop. A woman with a walker / wheelchair or whatever comes up to us, like black woman. And she comes up to us and like, yo, like, do y'all have money for my insulin? And I never carried cash. So I'm always like, God bless. But Danny had cash on him and he gave her like $3. And she's like, oh, God bless y'all. I was like, okay, cool. We're chilling. It was
cool. The lady from the bus came out and was like, Lucifer.
No, so like we're back to the street. We're just facing the sidewalk. And like the lady with the wheelchair walks off, like down just like several paces down to a sign. And then just from my right peripheral, a woman with super straight teeth, dirty as hell, but she was dirty. Her stomach was out. Like she had like her butt. That was weird. She had like a tank top on, just screaming Lucifer. And then
calling the woman Lucifer.
No, she was just doing it out loud, and we're just looking at each other. And Sam starts to lose his shit. He's like, "Bruh, like I'm
but
not."
you know when you feel this is the beginning of something more.
Nah, I
Like
feel
you're
you.
like, no. This is like this isn't a one-off.
Yeah.
Like this is about to
It's
be
about
that.
to, yeah. It's
the
about
whole
to,
ride,
yeah. It's about
you
to
know?
just spiral that, and you're gonna be attracting that energy the whole time.
And
Me personally, it's just like I'm trying to figure out how I would have made fun of that person. And if you got everything wrong and one good thing right, I gotta fire you up for the one good
Bro,
thing.
like she had
it's like your teeth too straight.
she had the straightest teeth to be on that type of time.
It wasn't who you would have expect to take it there.
Facts. Like I've seen some ghouls and demons out here, and like she was like a half ghoul. Like it didn't make sense.
But
Lacks
so
commitment.
we get on the bus, and of course the exchange continues. It doesn't end on the bus.
Y'all got on the same bus?
Like, oh yeah, the
Oh my
only
God.
bus.
Yeah.
So we get on the bus, and like as the exchange continues, I'm like, Chris, let's just get off and take an Uber. And he's like, we're already on the bus. Like we're only a few stops away.
You dick.
So
You dick.
and at this point, and even I've just met Danny who's filming, and Danny doesn't know me like yet. So he's like, Sam, like I didn't know you were like that. And I was like what? I was like, I just want to take a lift. Like I could take the privilege of a lift. It's not that big of a
He
deal.
looked like he wanted to wash his clothes, like hand wash them.
Yes,
Yeah,
bro.
because it wasn't. It's not that I'm above it. It's just that like I didn't have to be there.
Yeah.
You know,
Bro, it's so different. I didn't believe like when I first came out here, I lived with a friend and they were telling me how dirty Los Angeles was. And I was like, oh, no problem. Like I came out here from New York.
Mm.
And you don't realize with respect how much human waste there is out here. That's the most gross part. It'd be like, not like, oh, there's just trash here. Like in New York, there's trash everywhere. But it don't be like human waste.
no, you
And
know
that's
what I mean?
Hollywood, though.
I've smelled more bodily fluid in LA than New York.
It's crazy,
For
bro.
sure.
Like when I walk around the neighborhood, I really be trying to figure out. I'm like, oh, that's dog shit, but that
No,
does
that's
not.
human.
Yeah, it's fucked up. And like when you see like a whole outfit just trashed, and then you just see how like it's like brown shit on it. It's just like, man, somebody wipe their ass with that. You know what I mean? Like
You
it's
see-
just fucked up. Bro.
Like in Hollywood,
It's dirty.
you definitely see pepperonis and poop mixtures.
Bro, and they got the nerve. They got the nerve to have the fucking fabricated seats on the bus. Why you got
Yes.
the fabric?
Yeah.
Why you got the fabric? You know you shouldn't have the fucking fabric out here, bro. What you got the fabric out here for? It's just in there marinating,
So
bro.
the fabric, yes.
See, New York would never. New York would never. Not on the bus, not on the train.
No.
No. And in New York, we don't take the bus. You got to take the bus. You take a car
Or a bike.
And-
or a bike. That's it.
All it is to each their own.
You know the other thing too? These scooters gotta go. These scooters gotta fucking go. I feel like, bro,
you live in Hollywood, so I understand your qualms and complaints.
I see it every day. That's why I'm so
but
passionate
your
about this.
life experience is so like Summer Walker was like, yo, LA sucks. And they're like, yo, you live in downtown. LA has the worst downtown out of any major city.
Yeah,
Like,
why would you do it?
but it's all perspective. And like, but one thing that you did hit the nail on the head was the human feces. I've seen someone in Hollywood. I don't live in Hollywood, but I've seen someone stand on top of the trash can.
Also, you live in Echo Park, so you got your deal of shit to do.
Yeah, of course, bro. They stealing bikes, they stealing grills.
Yeah.
But I've seen someone stand on top of the trash can and defecate on it. I'm like, bro,
That's more civil than outside.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I was walking down the street one time on the way to work to get to the train, this is why I don't want to take the train anymore. I'm walking to the train and some woman pulls out her dick and starts peeing into traffic. It's not politically correct to say, but I'm going to respect. I'm going to respect.
Hold on.
Yes,
There's
this is what
there's
happened.
a
So
lot
like
to
I was surprised, bro.
we're not unpacking that. Just tell the
That's
story.
just-
Anything I
just
say
tell
about
the
that
story.
would be
Just
wrong.
tell the story.
That's the story. The story was, reverse engineering the whole sequence. That was it. You know what I mean? We're
Nah.
just trying to figure out, how did this get to this
Nah,
point?
I'm
How
not-
did I get here? Why am I here? Why is this happening in front of me?
I'm not unpacking the package, bro.
I'm not even talking about it anymore because it's like you don't know what you could say.
Nah,
So
I'm
it's
good.
like that's just what happened. Some lady pulled out and started peeing in the traffic.
No, I think at the end of the day, like LA and New York are heavyweight when it comes to this. Like
Yeah.
when it comes to
absurd behavior.
just like the range of life. That's what I'll call it because that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it comes in different flavors. Like for sure, like the stuff I see in New York is more composed.
Yo,
But it is
there's
intense, but it's
yes.
composed.
But
I
the
don't
thing
know
about
how
it,
to-
yeah, it's governed. There's a code to
It's
New
governed.
York. You couldn't do
because
that
there's
in
too
New-
many
the things-
people to tell you not to.
I was about to say.
It's different.
Not
It's
only that, you'll get your ass whooped in New York for doing the shit that they do out
like
here.
a
People out here
stranger
are
will
nice about
confront
it.
you.
So
Yeah.
that's
Like,
the thing.
people are nice about it. Like, oh no, it's not, and that's true. But in New York, that's just not happening. Like
Right.
in New York, it's like, yo, what the fuck is up with?
So that's
I'm about to.
this is what I'm at the end of the day, you're still in more danger on the subway and on the buses in New York because someone will still punch you in the face.
Yeah, you'll get punched in the face, but I feel like out here, the crazy thing about taking public transportation is the fact that there's too many wild cards that you can't see in advance. So like when I ride the train, and it's not just me. When I ride the train downtown, if you looked at somebody for too long, or if you like brushed the wrong person, they would immediately go there to the point where it's just like, oh yeah, like you're going to work, but I don't have anything to lose and I'm trying to fight you right now in front of everybody on main stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Elton told me he dealt with the same thing where it's just like, yo, like he was just there and somebody was like, yo, do I know you from somewhere? Like on that, like trying to fight. And it's like, yo, like you don't see the play develop as easily out here.
Yeah.
Like you dealing with somebody who's yelling at them and you at the same time.
and
And
also
you just can't figure it out.
geographically, the playing ground is more level in LA. Like every neighborhood you're in has a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
In New York, you know when you've crossed a line where you have to be more alert. And I'm not from here, but in New York, it's like, yeah, in Soho, there's all types of people, but it's predominantly this. So like, you're not gonna get caught.
Right.
Here, I feel like, and even in a neighborhood where my friends are or whatever, I'm like, oh, but I'm still kind of just in LA. I don't really know how this is any different than the next neighborhood.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
It's a little more homogenous in that way.
You know what?
Yep.
Now with that being said, going back to at the end of the bus conversation, you're like, I don't have to be here.
Well, you know, because I don't want to let that woman go without some credit. The woman who was being called Lucifer, the best moment was she called 911 and they were like, we can't help you. And she was like, nah, y'all need to come get this woman off the bus. Like she's cursing the bus. And like, they're like, we can't help you. And she was like, nah, like.
She was like, call Jesus.
Yeah, no, listen. So she was like, well, y'all suck. Like, she was like, y'all ain't doing shit. Like, hung up the phone. And then she said, listen, there's only God on this bus, bitch.
I fuck with it.
And I when she said that, I started laughing. And I'm like, now this moment, I feel comfortable.
Right.
Because you get around to the end and you're like, all right, like, it's deflated.
Yep.
But that was the punctuation on the situation.
And
I like that.
yes, she did say that. Me and Danny could confirm that. I forgot about that. But going back to you don't have to be here. You're currently in LA. Why?
Oh, in LA.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. So I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
I work in music, and a lot of people that I've been having Zooms with for 2 years are like, yo, like it's different if you meet me.
Right.
You know, like a lot will get done if we just sit down once. So there's that kind of element of wanting to see people in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And then also like in general, I'm trying to design a life where I can skip the winter.
That's dope.
And this is my first year acting on getting out
Mm-hmm.
because I've done 5 winters and that's like That's a badge. Like it's
Man,
a
just
badge.
imagine being born in the Midwest to the East Coast. Like,
Yeah.
y'all are, so you're from Texas originally, yeah?
Right.
Yeah, so y'all are not
It's not.
built
Yeah.
for it.
He said
and then-
5 winters.
5 winters.
Yeah,
I'm-
and then plus
I'm
the
28.
yeah, and the Great
And there's only
Quarantine
3.
winter was that one was not tight. like
Nah, I'm knowing that shit was trash, bro. Especially in New York.
yeah, because New York is bearable in the winter if you can like go out about it.
Right.
But when you can't do that and it's bricked, it sucks. It's like being stuck.
Yeah, you can't go out in New York. It'll make you think about why you live there, for sure.
Exactly.
The main reason why you live in New
So-
York is
so
to go out. Yeah.
Yep. So that's mainly, it was just like, okay, LA, like it's November. I just checked my phone. It's 50 over there. It's raining. And we're in the sun. So like the
Bruh.
choice seemed simple.
Simple.
Yeah.
So you said you work in music. To what capacity? Like what is it? What's going on?
Well, when we met, like I guess 8 years ago, 9, almost a decade. Let's just call it a decade.
Yeah.
A little less. We met on the strength of music in a way because Craig, who introduced us, left school, wanted to pursue music. I met you when you were like learning that your degree didn't make sense. Like
Facts.
like you were going through the moment of like, wait, like me and economics,
No, it was me in biochemistry at first. Yeah.
and then you switched.
Yeah.
But we met at a time where like we started realizing like our creative passions could maybe define us beyond just like being a hobby. And so at the point I met you, I feel like that was what kicked off how formal we all are in music today.
Yeah.
Because we used to go to open mics, and what I work on today started 5 years ago at an open mic.
Yeah.
So we used to go to AMX where people would just rap. And like, honestly, our group of friends like cleaned that place up.
And AMX stands for Austin Mic Exchange.
Yes. And it was the first time you were like, what am I relative to everybody around you? Because music is so insulated.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to see how we stood amongst everyone else in Austin who also rapped. And we were like, oh, like
You're like, these niggas were dusty.
or like not even that, just the reaction was validating and stronger, and it kind of like informed like that, oh, we should go harder because this is something that people respond to when we do it. So anyways, fast forward, my friend from high school, David, we did debate together. He would come to these open mics, and he was a little more casual in his music experience. But we used to have the same conversations with everybody that was like, why am I only connecting with other creatives at this open mic?
Right.
Like, why is this the one day per month where I'm like sharing what I make and getting feedback?
Yeah.
And so we sort of mulled on that a little bit. And for a college project at UT, David made this app called Hype Hop. It was like a side project.
Okay.
And it was like you share a verse and people vote on your verse. And it was like, that was it.
That's tight.
Yeah. And it was, you rap on a verse and people vote on it versus another verse. But it was a college project. So imagine an app that you make in 2 or 3 days. That's what it looked like.
Oh shit.
Like it was like barely functional,
Yeah.
no UI, but like it was there. And we went and got coffee, and he was like, yo, like, what do you think of this? And I had never been presented with like an opportunity to take something real and take it where I think it could go.
Yeah.
And so that's what started Offtop, which is what I do full time now. It's a songwriting app, but we started 5 years ago. In those 5 years, I worked at Splice for 3 years, which is like a music sample marketplace. If you're a producer, like everybody uses it. Any song we listen to has a Splice sample in it. Cheat code.
The enabler.
It's like it's always brought up as like, do you agree?
It's polarizing.
Yeah,
It's
like
polarizing.
is it cool to use this?
Yeah.
Which is a dumb conversation, but I get it.
Yeah, and we've all had that conversation, I'm sure, a bunch. But yeah, I know that's long-winded, but yeah, Offtop is what I work on. It's a songwriting app, and the way we describe ourselves today is like we're the better note-taking app than notes. Like we combined voice memo with notes.
Oh, that's fire.
And it's like, so if you're ideating on your phone, you want to be able to write and record, and you want to be able to pull in an instrumental.
That's fire. I
So-
didn't know you could do that on there. I would use that all the time because that's my process. Like I'll voice memo the melody and then I'll be like, all right, I'm ready to hear the instrumental with it. But the melody on the voice memo would come from just the speakers playing out loud.
Right.
Yeah.
But if I could have the note and then just voice memo, that's good shit, bro.
Yeah, man.
And then you also have auto tune on there, right? No?
Yeah, you can add auto-tune to your vocal effects. We partnered with Antares. So it's like it's funny because when it started, it was like an idea, but 5 years later, it's a tool. Like we only talk about ourselves as a tool. Like every time there's a conversation, it's not about like how many people use it. It's not about like how good the brand is. And sometimes to a fault, it's only about how can we make the tool better?
Yeah.
Like how do we improve the workflow? Like me calling Chris and being like, why did you write that notes? like like really trying.
He's
to
like on his
understand.
jealous boyfriend shit, and it's so
Yeah.
crazy.
But
I'm like,
that's what makes it what it is. It's like you have to pick up every detail of how someone creates because there's always a problem. Like
That's so interesting that's a thing in that arena because like one of the things that I do a lot, it's like an album that I really like or artist who's like similar to me, I'll be like, man, what is it about? It's like that conversation we had in the car the other night, like trying to figure out like, what is it? Why did you turn to this? And what is that intangible thing that I could be applying to what I do?
Exactly.
You know, to get further, you know?
Yeah, and it's everyone does it different. So to make something that everyone loves, both in music and in tech, is impossible. And like we're always, I don't want to use the word debating, but discussing like who is this really for?
Yeah.
And if you have a different vision for who it's for, decisions are way harder.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, like, well, I want them to like it, and I want them to like it. And it's like, well, they want different things.
and that's a conundrum that
So synonymous.
artists go through all the time. It's like, yo, do I want to make this for my peers? Because I want my peers to dick ride me and be like, yo, you're so dope, you're next. But at the end of the day, you could be an ass head of an artist and have 10,000, 100,000 fans. Like Lil B in his prime when we were in high school, bro, he was making absurd music
Yeah,
that didn't fit any type of preset
and by the way, by choice.
by choice, because he could decently rap, and he also made I got my Vans on and they look like
pack.
sneakers.
Yeah.
So he's always had the musical prowess. He made a hit before, but he descended into his own world that really galvanized kids and would have left his peers confused. So it's just one of those things, like we always ask ourselves, like there's the vanity part where you're like, yo, I want to be accepted by the boys club that's in my industry. And then there's the, do the people still love me, man? like you want to be loved by the people, but you also want to be loved by the plug and
what do you guys, when you feel, because I there are like distinct moments where we have to make that decision and I have to question like where I gravitate. What do you guys do? What do you fall back on
So
as your source of like, nah, like this is what.
So what I do, even just in, being here, like I choose somebody who thinks, I keep people around me who want the same thing, but go about it differently, like have a different approach or place of emphasis. For me, I'm always going to go with the function and the feeling and purity. Those are like my three things, right? But those three things don't always translate to things that fulfill the business end or the consumer end of it. So it helps me, for example, to be with Chris, because like a lot of the time he's dissecting and highly critical of how things could, you know what I mean, like go further, how I need to like put myself aside or put this, you know, moral way of thinking aside to, you know, achieve something bigger and then to come back to it. So, you know, I still stay on my side, but it's just like having that perspective helps to get further and have a balance of both. You know what I mean? Like it's more so for me about digesting what Chris has to say as opposed to just listening to it right away. Because the number one way that you're going to be convinced is when you hear yourself say it and you don't know where it came from.
Yep.
You know?
You gotta always trick people into thinking it's their idea.
Yep.
But even with that being said, it's like I don't know where I stand on who do you lean on, whether it's your peers or the fans, because obviously we see in the world right now, it's like everyone, like you have the baby, we'll bring him up, and he was making a lot of, before he said what he said on stage at Rolling Loud, he was having a lot of features, and like the notable one I'm gonna bring up is the Dua Lipa one. He has a song with Dua Lipa, and that's his peer in the industry, not because they make the same music, but they're industry leaders. Like he's one of the highest grossing hip hop artists at the time. She's one of the highest grossing pop artists. And he's on the remix or on the original song. And then whenever he says the dumb shit that he says, she's like, "Oh, I'm shocked that he said this, blah, blah, blah." And then like his peers are dropping him from songs that he's on, or the labels are stop pushing that song that he's on. And then in that moment, obviously, if you remove the baby, when your peers kind of like turn their back on you, you have to turn to your fans. But if you're Dave Chappelle, whenever he left Comedy Central and his fans are being told he's on crack, he has to turn to his peers, and which he did when he went to South Africa to meet up with Mos Def. So it's just like going back to like even stocks. I'm not rooting for either one. I just pray whenever I need one side to hold me down, they hold me down.
Yeah.
Because shit is hard.
Yeah, you need the different perspectives. You need the objectivity to what you are naturally geared to do and how you want to naturally move forward. It's just it's a dance. You know what I mean? Like it's really a dance. So yeah, that's so as far as, so I imagine, right, the thing that would be the trade-off with what you're doing with Offtop, what you guys are doing with Offtop is this going to be geared towards your traditional musician or artist, or is this going to be geared towards, and I know you might not have the answer, but like, is this going to be geared towards
The hobbyist.
exactly, or like the person who wants to just pick it up and be like, oh, auto-tune, or oh, these beats are cool, like gonna make a song for my high school project or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, man.
Because those are gonna accidentally like go crazy too, especially like with TikTok. Like what? You only need a 15-second song or whatever the case might be, and there's an app that could do that right away. It's like there's so many. I could imagine it would be hard not to say I'm gonna just pinpoint on this and capitalize off of it. So like, I know that's a loaded question, but like, what do you think about like the spectrum of different directions that a tool like that could be used for?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's funny how like quickly you picked up on the most existential, discussed, like heaviest theme of Offtop. Like both as a team, when we talk to investors, everyone we talk to, that question comes up, and how we think about that informs everything. And I think for me, you know, the exciting opportunity from an outside party is, well, there are 7 billion people in the world. So you have to build something that like 1/5 of them could use. And like, that's the easy, make a song end to end on your phone angle.
Yeah.
Like that's what appeals to somebody who's never picked up a music making tool. And so when you know that's the real opportunity, it's tricky because for me personally, like I'm more excited to build a product that a great songwriter today could use and it would change how they write songs.
Yeah.
Like I'm more excited to build a product that I could hand to my peers and the way they make music would change. And my peers have experience. And even like the people who I meet through my work, through Splice, like the producers I talk to just casually trying to get them involved, they're placing major records. So it's like, I can't pitch them the toy because that's really just like, will you promote this? You know,
Yeah.
I want to say like, will you use this? And I think really the answer is, and this is a simple kind of maybe complicated way to think about it, but the greatest products don't discriminate skill. Like
Absolutely.
the things that we really use every day aren't only for one level of experience.
Yeah.
They're designed to be flexible to how you create,
Right.
even if you've never done anything.
Yeah.
And so I would love to create a product where my 17-year-old sister.
Wait, she's 17?
Yeah.
No, that's
Yeah,
bullshit.
yeah, man. Great quarantine.
No,
Shit.
that's bullshit.
Yep.
She's not 17.
She's graduating high school, man.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, like I want her to make a hit and I want Kendrick to make a hit.
And that, you know what? Like, that's possible. Like, there's so many apps because I just switched over to like iOS production and I don't use the computer currently to make music. And the simplicity of it is, and the ease of access is great. Like the same app that I use to make a full extensive song because of it's entry level, but there's depth to it. So I know like, all right, because I'm used to using Machine and Logic and Ableton, like I know what certain things mean. And it's like, yo, as long as I could deep dive it, I could get mine too as somebody who is advanced in creating music.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I take that same app and I put it on my little nephew's iPad. And he's, 3-4 years old and he could press play and make a song and sample himself and all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing that,
Amazing, brother.
not for real. Definitely. And
We have
to
a
think-
friend who makes all his music on his phone and he's one of my favorite artists.
It's dope, man. We're like way more open to it. Like people came in and kind of like tempered us for it, like Steve Lacy and all of that, you know what I mean? Where it was a limitation for him, but he just like turned it into a career and a trademark thing. But it's cool that, now it's just in the hands of everybody. It's cool that I could use the same thing that a 3-year-old uses.
Right.
And, I'm just interested to see when he comes of age, if, like, if we could have that conversation. That's the first time ever you could really do that. Usually it's just like, oh, it's Fisher Price or Ableton. But the fact that it can be both, you know what I mean? Like is really exciting for the future, man. Like I think it's a good balance as long as if it's simple, but there's a depth to it is what matters to me most,
That's exactly it, man. Yeah. And yeah, so I'm always going to say we want to do both, but I can't always say that because then people like whose jobs depend on it
Right.
get confused. And it's like a bandwidth thing, it's like the list of things that the beginner wants and the list of things that Chris wants are different.
Yeah. But the thing is too, like you can hide complexity.
Right.
Like, behind the surface. But as long as you, deliver, the front door and it's nice, you're good. You can do both,
Yep.
just as long as you know like who you're talking to bring up the deeper points to. It's like, oh, like this person's a little bit more advanced. Let me tell you what this can actually do. But most people are just going to need to know like, yo, like, where's the record button?
Hit the button.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I hide complexity all the time from women.
I didn't know where that way. That just flew over my head.
No, but that applies to everything. Hiding complexity is a great design skill of man.
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's man. Also, like just on that tangent, and it goes back to what you wish you would learn one of the things, like I've become a designer because of Offtop. I don't have any design background, but the app as it is today, I designed.
Okay,
And,
dope.
And it's just like one of those things where if you're forced to do something because you're the only one there and you can't afford to ask someone better,
That's that no budget mentality, bro.
the
That's
outcome.
exactly what we on, bro.
Yep. And one lesson that I learned from it is like, it didn't come out of interest. It came out of necessity.
Facts.
Yep.
And that was a huge driver for how I am as a designer now, which is like, I might be able to get a design job, but it's like, I'm not gonna, but you had to do that thing. So,
Bro, that's the life of an artist, especially now where there's no like, oh, like I'm just gonna magically have a team. It's like, nah, like you gotta do things until your hands are calloused.
right.
And then people are gonna be like, oh, I wanna help.
Yeah.
And that's like you were probably the first person to like inform me that like iPhones on like websites that had like apps on it, that's like a stencil that you can use. I'm like, I didn't know this. Like, why does Sam know this? Because he does this all the time.
Right.
And as an artist, as a musician, you start to realize, wait, like I built websites before. I've opened up Photoshop, Premiere, Illustrator, and you're like, wait, I just want to make music. But the path of getting to the people, you have to embark on all those things.
Yep.
And then even if you're blessed enough to not have to pick up those skills and just focus on your one thing, you learning those things helps you communicate with the people who are experts.
Right.
And it's like that nomenclature is the difference between you going up to like a videographer and like, yo, let's make Tenet. And you realizing, wait, no, okay, Tenet was shot on this, on that, the reversal, like it wasn't just they reversed the video, choreography was reversed, and all these things. You're like, okay, I can temper my expectations and I can try to create a product with the resources I have because I have the knowledge.
And then also with that, one of my favorite things that I ran into this last week is a Nipsey quote when he was talking about how he had to, when he first started doing music, he was engineering it, producing it, all of that. By the time he got to where he was at in his career, he didn't have to do all of that stuff, but he knew the process, so nobody could tell him something that wasn't true. So if it was like he was sitting there with the engineer and he was just like, yo, I need you to put this in key, or, you know, I need you to put this compressor on, da-da-da-da. If that producer said, or if that engineer said, nah, it's not possible, he would be like, yes, it is possible. And if you don't know how to do it, get up, I'll do it.
Facts.
You know?
And that's the mentality that we all have to have. It's like, no, like it is. Steve Jobs was like, yo, it's possible. And his engineers were always telling him, no, it's not. Tesla, Elon is always like, yo, this is what we're about to do. And his engineers, and this is from his book, people who work for him are pissed because every time he announces something, they're actually nowhere near completion. They're so behind on his schedule, and they're like, fuck, like he's gonna make us do this. And like obviously he makes people work really hard. Steve Jobs did too, Kanye does too. But they always bring their idea to life and connect it, get it to the people. And it's just a reminder, like they're doing it on that billionaire level. I could do it on this $100,000. I could do it on $1,000 level. I can do that on a 6-figure K level. And you just got to push yourself and push the people around you. That's why Made says, I have like I'm good with judgment and criticism, because I'm all about the self-evaluation, because I'm always looking at myself like, I love me, but I really want to see how iller the shit can go.
Right. Yeah. And man, you need that. Like at the end of the day, I had something that I was going to say, but I forgot. So I'm looking for this quote for the Master of None, for the Master of None statement. So like, a jack of all trades is a master of none is what you're used to hearing, but it's like a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. That's the full quote. I did not know that the whole time because you only hear the front part of the quote and it
They cut out
discourages you.
But oftentimes.
Yeah. It discourages you from embracing the fact that you got to learn multiple things to do the one thing that you want to do.
And you're allowed to fucking learn multiple things.
But they want us to do one.
So that you can't pivot and that they can back you into a fucking wall when the game changes.
Yeah. Also, I remember what I was going to say now. Whenever I'll go out and I do something new, if I don't, like my number one thing is like, if I make a mistake, it better not be something that I thought about or somebody around me didn't account for. That's my only mission in whatever I set out to do. Is like, if I'm learning something, let me really truly be blindsided. Let me not be neglectful of the things that I thought about but didn't address. Mm-hmm. And let me not think that my perspective on it is strong enough to the point that it doesn't require other perspectives. So if I go out, if I put out a track, an album, music video, or whatever, and I sit down here with myself, with Sam, with Omenihu, with Dan, like, I need to know when I leave this room, if somebody says something that I've heard it before. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you know what, this doesn't, all right, we made that decision. We talked about that. I'm living with it. You know, if you tell me something new, then that's a learning opportunity. If you didn't address the things that you already knew you could have done in the first place, when somebody tells you when you go outside, it's going to develop an insecurity. You're not going to be confident in what you put out anymore because you never addressed it.
Facts.
So,
bro, that's anyone with a car who's like, oh, they call you up, they're like, yo, I'm on the side of the road, my tire went flat. I always want to be like, bitch, you knew your tire was flat a long time ago.
it could be.
And so obviously you can run over a nail.
Right.
But for the most part,
right.
it was a gradual, like, okay, your tire was deflating, you aired it up.
Right.
And you're like, whoo, close call. And it's that perpetual, whoo, close call.
Yeah.
And then it finally happens at the worst time. And you're like, wait, like, if I would have just addressed this way earlier, I wouldn't be in this predicament. Obviously, with That's tires.
I would say the more accurate would be like an oil change. Or getting gas. And it's like you ran out of gas on the side of the road. It's like you needed gas for a minute.
Yeah. And like, of course. And the thing is, it's like, and that's from my perspective, tires are always that. No one, like, and also if you're on the side of the road with a pop tire, you should have a spare, you should have a jack.
Prepare.
You should have all that stuff. And if you get caught with your pants down, it's like, damn, like every single day you had a chance to correct it. And I think about like all the things I didn't do during the great quarantine. I still have days to correct that regret. I still have seconds and I'm still breathing. So when I brought up the guitar, I still have an opportunity to get those calluses. Mm-hmm. And Offtop still has that opportunity to get the leading artist and to get Joe Schmo from down the street.
Yeah. I mean, one thing too is that I'm so grateful for, because I just turned 29 and I feel like I did not know this until I was like 29. Like, this is one of those like, okay, now that I'm this old with this much stuff, I can say this. You can't preempt the mistake. Like, there's never a situation where you predict the bad outcome.
Right.
And until the burn from the outcome happens, you won't be able to pivot. Like, everything we've done on Offtop is from the response that we got after we did it wrong. It wasn't because we knew how to do it right before, you know? Yeah. And like, so one of the things that even in my own life, because it's easier to talk about this from a business perspective, but even in a personal perspective, it's like, you gotta get burned. Yeah. Like, you have to get burned. Like, there's no way to correct for the burns if you don't feel them.
No, that's a fact.
You
And
know?
I think that's encouraging for people to hear when they're first starting something, because a lot of the time, especially with things like, social media, it's like you think that people come out at this level. Like
Right.
people are going to think like they can start at where you're at now with Offtop, where you guys are at now with Offtop at the beginning of their stages. But it's like, yo, everybody has to take their lumps.
Yeah.
Everybody has to, if you're a musician, everybody has to learn how to find beats, make beats, find their engineer, become their engineer. You know what I mean? Like find themselves. It's like a process. You look at all your favorite artists and you'll see that build. Like,
Yeah.
it's
And
there.
and you're watching people double the outcome in less time right next to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not only learning your own hardships, you're watching other people avoid them at the same time.
Yep.
So you're like, oh, like, damn, what does that mean about my pace?
Exactly.
And then you get pulled out of your own learnings because you're like, oh,
Nice.
like they didn't have to go through it, none of that.
And the crazy thing is, it has nothing to do with you.
It doesn't.
And it's like when someone does accomplish something twice as fast, that should only help you to half your time because you have an example
Right.
to exceed and excel. So, it's all interesting, and like we go through the desires of wanting praise from certain groups or the desire to be compensated a certain amount, but like every day you just work towards it and you forget about who appreciates you, and you just need to remember that you're just happier when you're on this path.
Mm-hmm.
That you're happier when you're just like chugging away at the tree with the axe rather than staring at the tree with the axe in your hand. That's
Yeah.
all.
Real shit.
It's like, yo, I'd rather be chopping the tree
Yeah.
than being like, damn, why is this tree not chopped?
Real shit.
Yeah, man. And that's a great, like, that we were talking about this with Danny the other day. It's like, if the motive is like outcome, pick something else.
Facts.
Because like there's a lot of quicker, less painful, less confusing paths to
Facts.
security. There are a lot.
That's a fact. That's a PSA.
Like it's not, it's like, it's funny because it's like, no, like if I was doing this for that, like I already fucked up
Facts.
because I could have done this in a different way and made more faster. So
Facts.
to your point, it's like you either have to love the doing it
Yeah.
or you're burned.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get burned. It's
Yeah, like the sign, like Kenny Beats has "Don't overthink shit." The new sign is gonna be, "You don't have to be here." And if you cross this line, that means you desire it and you want to.
It's a choice.
right.
With that being said, young Sam,
Mm.
I've been so blessed with you being here. Even though you like sleeping on my couch instead of the air mattress, and you may not understand why I'm so particular.
Bro, Chris is the
Chris is mad
No,
particular.
listen.
I'm super particular.
Yeah.
if you don't know Chris, like, and you're listening to this,
Hospitality goes both ways.
but this is a statement only Chris would say that defines his relationship with his particular habits.
Yeah.
He said, "I don't want the couch to get mileage," and I'm like, "Cars get mileage." Like I'm like I've never heard mileage used for a
You
couch.
try to preserve the couch.
But
That's real.
in my time knowing Chris, like if we're on different sides of the spectrum of excess, we're very different. Like I eat out because I'm in the mood, Chris will go to Costco to not eat out. Like
Yep.
he's like disciplined. I've picked up discipline from him about the value of things that I never had when I was growing up. So like when he does say, "I don't want the couch to get mileage," I'm like, okay, like I understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great trait in terms of like learning from it. It's not a great trait when you're getting the lesson.
Straight up.
You're like, oh no, not
Right.
for me though.
And what I was gonna say is like at the end of the day, it's been over 2 years since we've even had the opportunity to put mileage on the couch with you on it.
Right.
And it's like, bruh, like
Pause.
I was gonna say it,
Hey,
but I was
play
gonna
that
let him
shit.
have that
Play that
moment.
shit.
Like
Nah,
that was
fuck that.
that was
Hey,
poetic.
Hey, let that be as whatever is possible. We playing it. And man, like, yeah, it's a great, like, even this podcast, we could do this for we've been doing this since the first day we've met.
Right.
And this is just the first time we've uploaded this to DSPs and shit.
Yeah.
But bruh, like, thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thank you for being a fucking
Excuse me.
engine.
Let me get some water.
A engine with
I'm crying.
an engine with your dreams and being consistent. So
Yeah.
like for me to you, it's like, man, much love.
And thank you for doing what you can to contribute to something you're passionate about. And in doing that, you're gonna make, the music space more accessible. And I get that even just from this conversation we had, man. It's like, man, I'm downloading that joint right now. So
You need to upload beats to it.
I do. I'm trying to be a part. I'm trying to be a part.
We haven't done press for this, but this can be our first official press. Since Offtop has started,
He is dying.
COVID, man.
Oh my God.
No. We've paid producers $100,000 in royalties to date.
Oh shit.
So our platform is responsible for $100,000 in monthly checks. And like, it's funny because we talk to producers who make 10 grand a month, and I'm like, nah, like, we can't get you there.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side, we're making people $500 a month who've never made $1.
Yeah.
And so I have to think about it like that. But we'd love to have your beats.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we can do some quick takeaways. At the end of the day, keep chopping at the tree.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. The jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master with one.
Woo!
Mm.
Hey, mate, what's the name of this podcast?
A podcast with no budget, but I like it better when Sam says it.
It's a podcast that's gonna have budget.
But we started with none.
With that being said, your boys are officially outie. Y'all be healthy. Enjoy life. See y'all at episode 5.
A Podcast with No Budget was recorded and edited by Omenihu and made at our very own Echo Boyz Studio. Camera work and further assistance, including the artwork, design, and media, was done by Daniel August. No Budget is our collective effort as artists to share our own crafts as trade, which eliminates the budget and empowers greater opportunity for bringing artistic expressions to reality. You can do it with no budget. Visit our social media at nobudget.io. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Peace.